You've been fasting. You've been praying. You've cried alone in your car and worshiped through tears in your bedroom. And yet, nothing has shifted. The walls haven't fallen. The doors remain shut. And the silence from heaven feels louder than any storm. You're exhausted from hoping, tired of believing, and you're starting to wonder if breakthrough is even real, or if it's just something people say to keep themselves from falling apart. But before you give up, hear this. There's a reason the breakthrough hasn't come, and it's not because God has forgotten you. It's because He's preparing something deeper than what you asked for. You think God is late, but He's never once missed His cue. He is not in a hurry, because what He's doing in you is more valuable than what you've been asking Him to do for you. That delay you've been resenting, it's actually divine construction. While you've been waiting for doors to open, God has been building something in secret, not just around you, but inside you, because He knows if He gave you the blessing now without the breaking, it would crush you. He knows your heart, and He sees that beneath your request is still a wound that would bleed all over the very thing you've been praying to hold. You've been asking for promotion, but He's been fighting for your healing. That's the first reason you haven't seen breakthrough yet. He's not withholding it. He's protecting it. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is when God says, "Not yet," because He knows what you're not ready to carry. Just like Jesus waited 2 extra days before going to Lazarus. Not because He didn't care, but because He loved them too much to give them a temporary fix when He had a resurrection miracle in mind. And so, He waits with you, not in apathy, but in purpose. Every moment He's silent, heaven is moving. Every tear you've cried in confusion has been caught by His hands, and every unanswered prayer has been wrapped in mercy and tucked into His timing. You didn't miss it. You're just in the part of the story that isn't written in shouts. It's written in whispers, in hidden training, in unseen roots, growing deep, so you don't fall when the fruit finally shows up. The second reason the breakthrough hasn't come yet is because God is testing what you'll do when nothing makes sense. Anyone can praise when the doors fly open. Anyone can testify when everything falls into place. But God is after something deeper in you. Oh, He's after obedience that isn't attached to outcome. Like Abraham climbing the mountain with Isaac, and no clue how this would end, but walking anyway. Like Job saying, "Though He slay me, yet will I trust Him." Like Jesus sweating blood in the garden, but saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." God wants to know, can you trust Him when He's not doing what you want? Can you still follow when the trail disappears? Because this is what proves the depth of your faith. Not the moment you receive the miracle, but the moments you worship while you wait. And maybe that's what you've forgotten in all your striving. That faith isn't a transaction, it's a relationship. You don't fast to force God's hand. You don't pray to twist His arm. You pray to know Him. You worship because He's worthy, not because you're trying to earn a breakthrough. That's what separates a shallow faith from a surrendered one. If you only press in when you want something, what happens when the something is delayed? Do you back away or do you lean closer? Because God isn't your vending machine. He's your Father, and He's after intimacy, not just intercession. He wants your heart more than your request. And here's the third reason, the one that's hardest to swallow. Sometimes the breakthrough hasn't come because there's still pride hiding in your heart. Not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that still wants control. The kind that resents God's process. The kind that believes you know the best timeline for your life. That's the kind of pride that kept Israel in the wilderness. Not because God wasn't ready to lead them into the promised land, but because they weren't ready to enter it. He had to humble them, strip away their complaining, break their dependency on idols, and teach them to walk by faith, not sight. That's what this season is doing in you. It's a furnace. It's burning away the entitlement. It's crushing the self-reliance, because when the breakthrough finally comes, God doesn't want you thinking you earned it. He wants you knowing you were carried the whole way by grace. And maybe that's exactly why it hasn't come yet, because you're still trying to do it in your own strength. You're still comparing your timing to someone else's. You're still measuring your value based on how quickly you get results. But God doesn't work by your calendar. He works by the condition of your character, and He would rather take 40 years to prepare you for something eternal than rush you into a blessing that could destroy you in a year. You want fast. He wants faithful. You want results. He wants refinement. So He lets the door stay shut. He lets the delay stretch longer. Not because He's cruel, but because He's kind enough to wait until your spirit matches your assignment. And that leads to the fourth reason. You've mistaken resistance for rejection. You thought because it was hard, it must not be God. You assumed that because the path is narrow and the burden heavy, you must be on the wrong road. But Jesus said, the road to life is narrow, and few find it. He said if you want to follow Him, you have to pick up your cross. That means there will be resistance, not from God, but from the enemy. The very presence of opposition might be the confirmation you're walking in purpose. The storm doesn't mean you're off course. It might mean you're right in the center of destiny, because breakthrough isn't always smooth. Sometimes it looks like warfare. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes God breaks the thing you built, so He can give you something that lasts. Sometimes He lets the relationship fall apart because He saw what you couldn't. Sometimes He lets the opportunity fall through because He knows what you were settling for. Sometimes He lets the foundation shake so He can rebuild you on something unshakable. That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's the mercy of God disguised as disappointment. And here's the fifth reason, the one the enemy hopes you never realize. Your breakthrough is coming, but it's being fought for in the unseen. You don't see the angels God sent. You don't hear the intercession happening in heaven. You don't feel the battle in the spirit realm raging around your yes. But it's happening, just like in Daniel's story. When he prayed, God answered immediately, but the answer was delayed because a demonic force fought it in the heavens. It took 21 days, but the answer came, and it will come for you too, because when God speaks a word, nothing can stop it. Not hell, not delay, not resistance. All He asks is that you don't quit in the waiting. That's where you are now, not forgotten, but fought for, not abandoned, but refined, not rejected, but redirected. Your silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. Your struggle isn't proof of failure, it's the fire that forges faith. And your breakthrough, it's not denied, it's being defended. Heaven is closer than you think. Don't walk away. Don't stop now. The story isn't over. You're just in the part where God is writing the most important pages. And when the breakthrough comes, It won't just change your situation, it'll reveal the strength God built in you while you thought nothing was happening at all. You've been staring at the same closed door for so long that you forgot there's a hallway behind you filled with other doors God still plans to open. But the longer you fixate on what hasn't happened, the more you'll miss what is happening. God's silence isn't a void, it's a strategy. It's the space where He stretches your capacity, builds endurance, and teaches you to walk by faith and not by sight. You don't realize how strong He's making you because all you feel is tired. But faith isn't grown in comfort. It's born in conflict. That tension you feel isn't punishment. It's proof that something holy is taking root beneath the surface. He's teaching you how to carry the weight of glory without it crushing you. This isn't about just getting what you asked for. This is about becoming someone who won't waste it when it arrives. You prayed for impact, but impact requires depth. You prayed for influence, but influence requires intimacy. You want the crown, but God knows you need the cross first, because only those who have died to themselves can be trusted with resurrection power. That's why He's stripping away the idols, the approval addiction, the fear of man, the secret comparison, the hidden offense. He's not being cruel. He's being intentional. He's cleaning out the spaces that would sabotage your future. And every delay is actually laced with deliverance, because the longer you wait, the more your flesh dies, and the clearer your vision becomes. What once felt like a detour is revealing itself as discipline. What once felt like abandonment is turning into authority. You don't just walk into breakthrough, you grow into it. And this season is your greenhouse. You can't see the harvest yet, but God is cultivating something sacred in the soil of your surrender. But let's be honest, it's hard to wait when everyone else seems to be winning. You see them post about their blessings, their open doors, their answered prayers, and something bitter rises in you. You won't say it out loud, but deep down you whisper, "God, why not me?" And that whisper becomes a wound. But listen carefully. Comparison is the thief of clarity. Just because God is moving for someone else doesn't mean He's forgotten you. His timing for them has nothing to do with His timing for you. Don't let someone else's chapter cause you to abandon your own. Your breakthrough won't look like theirs, because your assignment isn't theirs. And sometimes, the people who get there first aren't the ones who last the longest. You're not behind, you're being built differently. There's a reason you've had to fight harder. There's a reason your journey has been slower. It's because God is laying a deeper foundation in you. He's not just preparing a moment, He's preparing a legacy. And legacy takes time. The pain you're walking through is not pointless. The wilderness you're in isn't a punishment, it's preparation. And if you could see what's on the other side, you'd stop asking, "When will this end?" and start asking, "Lord, what are you forming in me here?" Because you're not being overlooked, you're being overhauled. God is reconstructing everything the world taught you to build on. Your ego, your ambition, your identity in achievements, and replacing it with something eternal. That's why it hurts. That's why it's quiet. That's why everything you used to rely on doesn't work anymore, because He's changing your source. He's weaning you off the applause. He's breaking your addiction to instant answers. He's detoxing your soul from shallow faith. You asked Him to use you. Now He's proving if He can trust you. Because anointing comes with crushing. Power comes with pruning. You can't walk in resurrection until you've laid something down at the altar. That's why you feel stripped. That's why you feel empty, because He's reducing you to obedience, and obedience without clarity is the highest form of trust. When God gives no explanation, but asks for your faith anyway, that's where the oil is made. That's where Gethsemane happens. That's where heaven watches to see if your heart still bows, even when your questions aren't answered. And in that place, that holy tension, something begins to shift. Not around you, but within you. You stop needing the breakthrough to believe. You stop demanding the outcome to obey. You stop measuring God's goodness by what He gives, and you start measuring it by who He is. And that's where breakthrough actually begins. Not when the circumstances change, but when you do. Because the real breakthrough isn't when the chains fall off. It's when you realize they were never strong enough to keep you from worshiping anyway. That kind of worship is dangerous to the enemy. That kind of faith terrifies hell, because it means the devil can't bait you with delay anymore. It means you've stopped playing by time and started living by truth. It means your joy isn't held hostage by results. It means your identity is rooted in eternity. And that kind of believer, that's the one God uses to shake nations. That's the one who walks into rooms and shifts atmospheres. That's the one who carries the weight of revival because they've been crushed enough to carry it with humility. God hasn't changed His mind about you. The calling still stands. The promise still holds. But the path to it looks different than you imagined. And that's not a sign of failure. That's the fingerprint of sovereignty. He's writing your story in such a way that when you finally step into the breakthrough, no one, including you, will be able to take the credit. And that's the point. Because this isn't about your platform. It's about His glory. He's not just trying to bless you. He's trying to reveal Himself through you. And that means you're going to be misunderstood. You're going to be passed over. You're going to be tempted to lower your standards just to make something happen faster. Don't do it. Don't shortcut the process. Don't manipulate your way into a moment you're not ready to carry. Wait on the Lord. Let Him open the door. Because when He opens it, no man can shut it. And when He promotes you, no one can take it away. And when He blesses you, it'll come without sorrow attached to it. You won't have to force it. You won't have to beg for it. You won't have to compromise your peace or your integrity to get it. You'll just walk in it, quietly, humbly, and with the kind of gratitude that only comes from knowing what it cost to get there. Because you'll remember every night you cried. You'll remember every moment you almost quit. You'll remember the silence, the battles, the nights when all you had was a whisper and a promise, and you kept walking anyway. And in that moment, you'll understand why the breakthrough took so long. Because it wasn't just about receiving, it was about becoming. God didn't want to just give you something. He wanted to grow something in you that would never die. And that kind of fruit only grows in surrender. So now you're standing at the edge of everything you don't understand, wondering if God will come through. But the truth is, He already has. He's come through in your endurance. He's come through in your stillness. He's come through in your refusal to give up when everything in you wanted to run. You are not empty. You are full of the very strength He's been building in secret. And the breakthrough, it's not just coming. It's already begun. It began the moment you chose to trust Him in the dark. It began when you stopped needing signs and started walking by faith. It began when you looked at your unanswered prayer and said, "Even if you don't, I'll still praise you." That is the soil where heaven moves. That is the posture that shifts the atmosphere. And that is the kind of heart God breaks open the heavens for. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep worshiping through the waiting, because your story is not over. Your promise is not lost, and your breakthrough, the one you've prayed for, cried over, and waited on, is not denied. It's just being written in the language of glory, and when it finally comes, it will be worth every second it took to get there. He's not done. You're just in the middle of the miracle.